Hi, everyone, and welcome to LSU's Adulting 101 program. My name is Anthony Germade, and I'm honored to have been asked to give a little presentation on leadership development today. I'm currently Executive Director of NAMI, Louisiana. NAMI is National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we work on advocacy at the Capitol for mental health legislation, training and development, and community outreach. We also have a NAMI on campus chapter at LSU. I went to LSU in the 80s and I was not a good student, not a good student at all. I was in and out. And however, what I did was I got involved along with some other students, and we started LSU TV. It's now called Tiger TV. And I learned how to produce and edit videos and media and that sort of thing. So I'm always grateful for LSU giving me that opportunity, and that catapulted me into a long, exciting career producing media and corporate conventions all over the world. And then when that came to an end, not that long ago, about 6 years ago, I decided to go back to LSU. So I actually am a graduate of LSU, bachelor's degree in 2016, and got my master's in leadership development at LSU in 2018 as a non-traditional student. But I'm always grateful to LSU for allowing me to come back as an older student and get both my degrees. I want to congratulate all of you for graduating in 2020 under the most difficult circumstances imaginable with the pandemic and everything. But I assure you, it's going to get better. I'm hoping that all of you have jobs and you're off and running in your careers. So now, as we get into some tips and pointers on leadership development, let's remember that communities all have leaders. There are leaders everywhere, whether you're a coach, a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, work in business. Everyone is a leader. Parents are leaders. And so it's very, very, very important to understand that if you're going to have a leadership role in work throughout your career, you can start now. You can start developing the skills you need personally and professionally to be a good leader in whatever field you're in. And you never know what path how that might end up, especially as you get into management or being a director, maybe even a CEO someday. And a lot of these skills do take years to develop, okay? So it's important to be very, very patient and understand that with leadership comes responsibility, and responsibility towards how you treat others. A few tips to remember is that leadership can be taught, it can be practiced, it can be learned. It takes patience to become a good leader. You've got to be patient with others and with yourself when it comes to dealing with others and being in a leadership role. You need to have compassion and empathy for staff you're managing or customers or clients. You need to have integrity. A good leader must have integrity, must have honesty and loyalty to his or her organization, what we call the buy-in factor. If a leader isn't buying into the mission of the organization, how can you expect the staff to perform well under that leader? A good leader must have very good active listening skills. Good leaders listen more than they talk. If you ever watch a movie and you see all the people go around the table talking and hashing things out for projects, there's always that quiet one, that man or woman at the end of the table, and they're just sitting here like this. They're not saying much. It's because they're listening. They're listening to their team so they can ultimately make the right decisions. A good leader has to be confident. It took me many years to develop confidence in the workplace. That's something you can just chip away at and build your confidence. If you're a confident person in your personal life, that helps, but you still need to transfer it to your professional life. You want to have humility. And again, you want to have honesty, and you want to always do the right thing. Okay, some people in leadership roles, they get tempted by money, greed, power, things like that. You have to check yourself and make sure that you don't go down the wrong path in terms of integrity. There's no such thing as a good leader who is not honest and doesn't have integrity. Other things, personal things that just to get started, if you're starting out in a new job after your graduation, you want to make sure you dress the part. It's very important. These are simple little things that you think are common sense, but you'd be amazed at how many people I see, even in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, that don't dress the part for the role that they have, okay? So for gentlemen, you want to wear a suit or at least a coat, jacket, ladies, business suit, whatever the situation requires. You can never be overdressed for a business meeting, okay? You want to be punctual. Very, very important for leaders to be punctual. If they're not punctual and the staff sees that they're late coming into meetings, the staff member is going to think, well, I could be late if the boss is doing it. Unacceptable. There's a rule in business. If you're early to a meeting, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. So you always want to keep that in mind. You always want to have a positive attitude. Leaders are always positive. They're always seem to be happy people, and you want to surround yourself with positive people. A boss or a manager or leader, they do not like hiring staff who end up being negative people, because that negativity will spread like a virus throughout the organization. A boss must be a boss, or a leader must be a boss and make decisions, but not be bossy. You don't want to be that type of leader. If you're in charge of someone, whatever level you and that person are on, you don't want to get the reputation as a leader or a manager who bosses people around. Sometimes it might make you feel good, but that's your ego talking. You have to let go of your ego to be a good boss. And a good boss or leader never, ever engages in gossip. I've seen high-level, well-paid managers get fired from big corporate jobs because they gossip and spread rumors about others. We're all human. We all want to talk about things. It's easy to get caught up in that gossip trap, but you have to make sure you don't do it. Other traits and skills you want to have as a good leader, you want to be organized, very organized. You have to be a big picture thinker and be able to have the confidence to make those decisions, important decisions. You want to practice teamwork. A good leader always gives credit when a project goes well to his staff or her staff or team. And by the same token, if something does not go well, a good leader must take responsibility for it. You want to make sure you praise your coworkers, colleagues, or staff when a project goes well. Give them praise often, and that's very important. You want to be fair and treat all your employees as individuals, because they're all different and do different things. But you want to be fair all the way down the line. Communicate with them. Let them know where you stand on every subject and every area that's important to their job. A good leader, this always surprises people when I say it, but a good leader reads a lot. A leader reads books, lots and lots of books on many different subjects. Doesn't have to necessarily be in the field that they're in, but a good leader is well-read, and they read. Sometimes before work, they'll read every newspaper that comes out. At nighttime, reading books. That's how a leader picks up ideas and best practices for different situations and sort of educates themselves personally and professionally. A good leader, you should be proactive. You should be not reactive. There's too many employees and even bosses out there who they sit around the office collecting a paycheck, and then when a project or something comes down the line, they have to react to it. Well, that being reactive causes stress and anxiety in an organization. You have to anticipate things that will happen and be proactive and get your organization, whatever your role, in the right position to handle surprises and things like that. A good leader is also very empowering. You must be able to empower their staff and people around them. One philosophy I use is I like to hire people who are smarter than me. And that's not hard to do these days, okay? A lot of young, smart people like yourselves out there, young graduates. Maybe you're going to graduate school, maybe you're going right into the workforce, but when you get to the point where you're hiring people, you want to look for talented, smart individuals, and especially, like I said earlier, those people with a good, positive attitude and a good hard work ethic. I will take someone, hire someone who's passionate about our mission for what we do at NAMI and is punctual and is positive, I'll take that person over someone maybe who had a 4.0 during college. Although if you can find the person that's got all those skills and attitudes plus a 4.0, then you're hiring the perfect person. So you always want to surround yourself with people who have skills maybe that the boss or the leader doesn't, and that gives you a good complement to your organization. Some professional skills I want to touch on that good leaders have. Number one, first and foremost, you've got to be a good communicator. Good leaders have to have well-rounded communication skills. By that I mean oral, written, and presentation skills. You have to be able to write and write well, whether it's reports, articles, blogs, content for websites, videos, anything that it may be, client contracts, things like that. A good leader must know how to communicate. And again, have those active listening skills. Yes, a good leader needs to be able to give speeches, presentations, but really needs to be a very good listener. Great communication skills can make up for maybe a lack of other skills in many, many different ways. A good leader has to have strong emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a relatively new field. When I say new, maybe the research on it has been done the last 20, 25 years. It's getting a lot of attention lately because the world is so stressful, especially right now going on with the pandemic and the economic crisis. There's a lot of leaders and managers out there who are kind of going overboard with the emotions, not sure what to do. You never want your staff to see you being indecisive. You can ask their opinion, but a good leader will make decisions privately and explain to their team what they're going to do in difficult situations. Emotional intelligence is having control of your emotions and being aware of the emotions of the people around you, whether it's your staff, your board of directors, your clients, whomever it may be, and sort of communicating in such a way where your awareness with your own emotions and theirs will set up a positive environment. So I would recommend Google, do some research on emotional intelligence. It's a fascinating area, and it takes a long time to practice it, to get really good at it, because we're human beings. We can get caught up in our emotions at work sometimes when stress gets out of hand, but it's very important to control your emotions at all times, in the workplace especially. A good leader has to be a visionary and sort of a futurist. They have to be able to see the end goal, the end project. What I like to do is if we're having a state conference or a big meeting or a project down the road, I like to see and explain to our staff how I'd like it to go and work back from there. What do we have to do? What pieces of the puzzle do we have to put together in order for that project to be successful, to be well attended, to meet our budget, okay? And so you have to have sort of a vision for what that will be like. A lot of times that comes with work experience, life experience, but also research and being prepared. A good leader is always prepared. It's very rare that a leader will walk into a meeting and just kind of wing it and not know what's going on. Very, very rare. So all in all, you have to understand that to be a good leader, you have to have a variety of skills. And a lot of it comes from, like I said, reading and keeping up to date on information. Being an information geek, if you will, is very important. Watching the news, current events, not just in your community, but statewide, nationwide, even worldwide, okay? Because a good leader has to understand in order to be of the best value to his team and his staff. You have to understand the weather. You have to understand what's going on news-wise in your community. You have to understand federal budgets and money and things like that. It's a lot to learn, but you just chip away at it. No one can learn all these different areas in one day, week, or month. You chip away at it. A good leader is always working to improve himself or herself constantly. Good leaders never think that, oh, I know everything. I've got 20 years experience and a degree. What else is there to learn? Well, that's not the way it works. A good leader is always learning new ways of doing things, and always maybe learning from much younger staff on their team, different ideas, being open to those ideas. And again, praising your colleagues and your staff when they do a good job, rewarding them when you can. Some people in some professions, I've seen it a lot in my career, where the leader, the boss, uses a temper or anger or yells at their team or their staff when they do something wrong. That's definitely not the way to go about it. You're doing nothing but tearing that person down, especially if it's a younger employee. A good leader needs to be positive in your communication and build that person up and always praise them. And if they do make mistakes, you want to emphasize that everyone makes mistakes, but you want to train that person to where they don't repeat those mistakes over and over, okay? And you want to build confidence in your staff. That's how good leaders end up with getting employees to stay with the organization and retain good staff and have good staff morale by building them up when they do a good job, proper training, setting themselves up to succeed and not fail. So leadership is a very broad and general area, but it's extremely important. And I think it's not talked about enough. And that's why I'm glad the master's program that I went through at LSU was a tremendous program, and I learned a lot and was also able to apply my years of experience in the workplace to those skills. So don't ever think that you're too young to be a good leader. Don't ever think that you, just because you may have graduated recently, that you're not in a leadership position. You probably will be sooner than you think, okay? Bosses like to promote people who have potential to move up and get into managing others quickly. It makes their job a little bit easier. But you've got to have a variety of skills: communication skills, emotional intelligence skills, professionalism, understanding the best practices of the field that you're in, being patient with yourself, not putting too much pressure on yourself, but yet always being active and proactive in developing your leadership skills. So I hope this session has been valuable for you. You can reach out to me, email me anytime at bigeasyt, bigeasyt as in Tony, @gmail.com if you have any questions. Thank you for listening, and congratulations to all you new graduates out there. Go Tigers.